Welcome to SOULutions, where men come out of the shadows to testify, giving tips in manhood, honor the codes of integrity, and give out real solutions for soul survival. Today, we have on the show a man that helped me walk through my college years, a man from the same town I am from the BX, Soundview, Ghost Town Stand Up. A man who is a leader amongst men and real respect and integrity, and he really takes care of his health because health is wealth. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for D Sigma, D Money, Devin Harrison, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Peace, beautiful people. What it do? What's good? What's good?
Hey, man.
What up, G?
I'm chilling, man. Listen, I got this. I got you, man. I have a bunch of stuff I wanted to say.
Hey, listen, man, I'm just honored to be a part of your platform. And just like you said, man, coming from where we came from, you know, it's a beautiful thing for us to be able to talk about different things on a positive level because of what we've seen growing up. So I'm just honored to be a part of this. So thank you.
You know, I got these questions I want to ask you. We're going to get to in a minute, but I know this particular episode, I'm going to veer off a little bit because I know you can relate to the things that we both seen growing up.
Absolutely.
We have matriculated into a different diaspora, and I want to talk about a moment that clarity I had just about a month ago. But let's get to this first question.
Go ahead.
What person did you meet or see that gave you the drive towards the man you are today? Who or what defined you?
That's a layered question. Because of how I grew up and because of where I'm from. I would say that the people who shaped me into the man I am today actually were first and foremost my brother, because he had to literally raise me. And just to give a little bit of background for those who are watching who don't know, I lost my mother when I was in the first grade. As a matter of fact, she died a day before my birthday, which is June 16th. And she died from pneumonia, cocaine abuse, you know, just basically substance abuses what basically took her away from me early. And from that point on, you know, that's when I moved to the Soundview section of the Bronx with my brother. And then in the 8th grade, I lost my dad. So, and he died from bronchial pneumonia due to AIDS. So, substance abuse and just that type of thing has been rampant in my family, addiction. So growing up, I didn't really have necessarily a father figure or a mother figure, you know, starting from first grade all the way up in the 8th grade and going into high school. And my brother did the best he could. But unfortunately, he wasn't really a brother to me. He was more of a parent. So we didn't really have that relationship. But I knew that as that time in my life, I needed some nurturing. So there was a few women that was in my life from some friends I grew up with. And they were important in my life. Michelle Jordan, who passed away. Delphine Julian, she passed away as well. But those two women in particular took me in like I was their son. And they really just helped shape me and mold me and made me the person who I was today.
Wow. Can you talk to me about some of the gems they might have given you?
Yeah, that's so as far as with some of the gems I received, you know, just being somebody who's humble. And, you know, it's interesting to say that because growing up again, when we grew up, you know, being humble may not be the first quality that people have. You know, it's more one of those things that is kind of like flamboyant and boisterous and things like that. But I am so far from that. And you are too, even though you are a world-renowned hip-hop artist. But anyway, but yeah, so, you know, just being humble, being respectful, especially being respectful towards women, which is very important. And of course, you know, being young, you know, you make these mistakes from time to time, but the foundation was there to know how a woman should be treated. Friendship, family, and being loyal to the people who are loyal to you. And even the other thing I would say that I learned was just being respectful of people. And they may not necessarily be respectful back to you, but it's important that, you know, you give that energy that you want to be given back. And if they don't give that energy back to you, then at least you can say, well, I gave the right energy. I can't speak for them, but I can speak for myself. And that's how I would put that.
You know, what's so important about this show is that I built this whole show of the concept of respect. Respect is super important to me. Like, that is the main thing that I think our neighborhood taught us, is to have
Yeah,
respect for the characters and the people that they are. Because in my
absolutely.
opinion, where we grew up at in the Bronx,
Mhm.
and it could be like this across the diaspora, we have every type of person you ever meet in your life and a representation you will grow up around.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
that's
teaches
true.
you how to deal with them in that small melting pot. So
Yeah, because it
respect is,
truly,
yeah.
yeah, you're right. Because it truly was a melting pot. I mean, obviously, growing up in the Southeast section of the Bronx, you have, predominantly Black and Latino contingent, but that didn't stop, white people from living there. There were white people who were living there. There was Asian people who were living there. You had the ability to be exposed to different cultures, um, which made you, more rounded in terms of how to deal with people.
Even on a deeper level, I'm really talking characters, but I'm also talking about characters. I'm talking about crazy people,
Yeah, yeah, that too. Yeah,
witty
so
people, loud
yeah,
people, like
loud people.
just the characteristics of violent people. Like, the most
Mhm.
violent person you have met in your life could be your next door neighbor, and you have to get along with him in this building. Everybody has their little section to live at.
Absolutely, and you really didn't have a choice. Or if you didn't get along with them, it was going to be a long day for either you or for them. So, you it was. But I think that even though people may have not necessarily saw eye to eye, the struggle was still the same, right?
Mhm.
Everybody was living in the same hood
Yeah.
and was going through the same struggles and in some type of shape, form of capacity. That's why, when I tell people my story and tell them how I grew up and tell them what I lost so young, they look at me and they look at me and they say, well, um, you know, wow, you like shocked and astonished, and you be telling your story some more and things along those lines. And to me personally, it's just like I just was living in a place that everybody else was going through some maybe the same thing or something different than I was. My story wasn't so different than the next person's.
Mhm.
So I don't necessarily feel like I needed to broadcast that. I just was happy that I survived it.
And I think from my perspective also, I didn't know what that I was living the way we was living around those type of people.
Right,
This was normal for me.
right,
This was normal to know I shouldn't walk down this street at a certain time if I'm not with a certain type of people. If I need to
right,
make different pathways to the house sometime. That don't make you
right,
soft, that make you smart.
right, right. Make you street smart.
It make you street
Yeah,
smart.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we
Um, no, I was gonna say no. You're right. I think that, like you said, man, you basically just needed to have a certain resolve about yourself and just be wise. And you had to be wise early, right? You had to grow up a little. You had to grow up earlier than most, And I think that was a benefit though, because it allowed us to be able to navigate and figure some things out maybe quicker than others.
talk to me about how important it is to leave where you're from and developing yourself.
Ooh,
Rebranding.
uh, huge. Um, I go back to the hood from time to time and I see how the hood basically eats people alive. And when I say that, I don't say that in a disparaging way. I just say it from what I see, um, down to health and certain type of hygiene and things like that. Because there's some common themes and common things going on in the hood. That's in every hood in the world. I would believe. You know, you got areas that are considered probably food deserts. So you got the Chinese store, you got the pizza shop, you got things like that. Nothing really healthy in the area as far as vegetables and fruits and things like that in the immediate area of the hood. Alcohol, what I'm saying, you got that there, and then you got, the other drugs that maybe be slung on the block. Um, reinventing yourself is important because, it shows a sign of growth, right? In order for you to achieve things that you ain't never achieved before, you're gonna have to do things that you ain't never did before. And in order for you to do that, you're gonna have to really learn how to navigate through certain circles. Like if I'm sitting at a table trying to sign a contract for a multi-million dollar construction project, I can't go in there talking about, yo, Mo, what's good? Like I'm back in Soundview. That's not how that that's not how that's gonna work. The person that's on the other end of the table is probably not gonna look like me. And if I come in there talking like if I was on the block, you know, that's not gonna be able to make me effective. It's not gonna be able to make me achieve what I want to achieve, and it's not gonna make me be able to provide for my family. So, you know, you got to be able to show an example to other people who are still in the hood. Like, yo, I was in the hood just like you was, and I was able to get out and grow into this person and rebrand myself. And here's how. So it's important for you to be able to change because, one of the things that you have to do as a man is not only provide, but you need to make sure that you leave a legacy for somebody else. Specific, it could be your children, but if you don't have children, you want to leave a legacy for somebody else to take, and so they can take from that, and then they can give it to somebody else, and then they can pass it down. And that, in my opinion, shows a true definition of a man.
Do you think, right now from this conversation, this question came to my mind. Do you think time stops in the hood? And what I mean by that is, us growing up, there were people older than me who, after I started to mature and grow, they stayed the same. And after I left and came back, they were still the same. In some sense, do you think time just stops in the hood?
I think that, I think that's a good question, Sheem. I think that, I think it does, but I think it's also a matter of people getting comfortable in what they know, right? So, as you know, changing, it's hard, and, even when you want to try to grow, it's really not that easy to do. And if you are accustomed to something for so long, you just get used to it. And this is just basically who you are. That's just it. It's kind of a sense of institutionalization, unfortunately, in my opinion. And so to answer your question, I think so. And I think a part of that has to do with comfort. And maybe somebody not necessarily having the fortitude to really just push through when it really gets heavy because they're just accustomed to what they're already maybe used to.
Well, we talk about leaving a legacy, but we mostly ignore major steps. Do you have a will?
I do have a will. That's one of the things that I didn't have it for a long time though. So that is one of the major things that, especially in the Black community, we don't have or talk about. What do
you think? Why we don't talk about it? You think it's because we're afraid of the conversation of death, or many of us feel we just have nothing to leave behind?
I think it may be a little bit of both. I know that talking about death death is scary. So talking about it in a will makes it reality. Like we're not going to be living forever. So that plays a part. I think the fact of, I don't have anything to give somebody else, so what would I do a will for? But I think in that particular sense, people get caught up on the fact that, you necessarily always have to be money that you leave behind, which is not the case. There may be other things that you may have, heirlooms, things like that you may want to put into that will that, you just are not educated on. And I think another reason why is because we don't have those type of conversations in the hood like that, when it comes to, having a will and opening bank accounts and having businesses and leaving things down to your children. I mean, that's not really the normal conversation that's happening in the hood. So
do you think we spend so much time trying to avoid death, we don't even want to talk about it? Because for some of us, it was life and death every time we went outside. Every day, sometimes it was a gamble just to go outside in the areas that we grew up in. Not that you were afraid, it was just like that.
Yeah, I do. I think that, the cards are stacked against all of us living in the hood. And I just think the resources and availability wasn't there. For example, right? I just did an interview with a chiropractor, Black woman chiropractor, right? And I did some research before I did the interview, and I found out that 92% of chiropractors are white, while only 8% of chiropractors are Black, which is crazy because it's like, why aren't there more Black chiropractors, in the nation? So for one, you got a problem there because you got to bring awareness to it, but also another part of it is who's really getting a chiropractic medicine in the hood? Nobody. Like, I've never seen a chiropractic clinic in the hood, but what you do see is methadone clinics, right? So it's one of those things where, because of how the hood is set up, you don't really have those opportunities and those resources to branch out and see there are different things that Black people and Spanish people can have as well, that white people have been growing up and getting accustomed to.
Do you think it gets really deeper than that? Do you think you may not see it because insurances at the end of the day won't cover it for those type of communities?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the communities, because it's one of those things where you do have some insurances that does cover those type of services, but if you don't know, you don't know, right? So it's one of those things where the information needs to be disseminated to those people to be like, yo, you can have this too, based on X, Y, and Z. So if you're able to get that education, then at that point, you make a decision on what you want to do. But at least the education was given to you.
And that's the point of this show, to drop gems in education. For me, interviewing other gentlemen, I interviewed Devon Stanfield, and he told me that for $30 or $40, you can get a will done through a company, right? I forget the name of the company right now, but I have it written down. And for those who are watching the show, we'll have some information for it in the description. But also interviewing a man named Cameron Wesley, he also told me that other cultures take out insurance policies on their parents. So when they pass, they leave them money to continue their lives. And a lot of people don't want to have the conversations about wills, having insurance money put on them, because they find it offensive, or talking about death. And we as a people have to get past that. Death is not scary, it's certain.
Right.
And we have to really get there and really accept the fact that there's a game being played and we don't know all the rules. But that's our choice at this point.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Like I said, man, you don't know the rules. So you don't really feel, you can't feel that power, or you can't feel that sense of entitlement. And I don't want to say entitlement like in a bad sense. I'm saying when you know the information and you know what you're supposed to have, then that's when you could be empowered to be like, yo, nah, this is not right, because I know that I'm supposed to have this. I'm expected to do these things. But when
that's
you
like
don't have that education.
Yeah, that's the definition of faith and hope. Like,
Right. Right. So when you don't have that education and you don't have those tools, like you said, you're playing at a disadvantage. So, that's where it is.
Well, hopefully the gems we just dropped, somebody goes and does their research and we continue to build. But I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a vision board?
I don't have a vision board, but I have a journal. So,
okay, please elaborate.
Well, no, I go to therapy, right? So, it's one of those things where I journal about what I want to accomplish or how I may be feeling. A lot of the thoughts that I have and things I may be going through, I just go ahead and just write it down. And then when I go to therapy, I kind of talk about them. And, I have different tools and different exercises that I do in order for me to be able to get past some of the things that I may have experienced in my day-to-day life, or something that I may have seen that may trigger something from my past that makes me feel some type of way. So when it comes to visions and it comes to stuff like that, yeah, I write them down in my journal, but I don't have a vision board.
Okay, you're crossing over like 2 or 3 of my questions I have for you. So
I'm sorry. All right.
No. This is good. So we're gonna package. I'm gonna package this all in. We're gonna package it right now. Let's say with the journal real quick. Let me know something, an apex that you have in your journal that you achieved, and an apex in your journal that you're trying to get to in terms of goals.
All right, so cool. Let me do the one. Let me do the latter one first. So what I am trying to do is be more vocal in terms of my feelings, specifically when it comes to my relationships, whether it be marriage or otherwise. And the reason why I say that is because, there are times when I hold things in and I kind of internalize them. And the problem with internalizing is just like garbage. It keeps building up, overflowing. And if you don't take it out, eventually it's going to be all over the place. It stinks. It's bad, right? So something may happen that I may see as not necessarily a slight, but may seem off or may see something I don't agree with. But instead of me kind of talking about it, I just keep it in. So, it's an ongoing thing that I'm working on to be like, okay, when I feel that, how am I going to respond? How am I going to react? And what's the worst thing that could happen if I go ahead and just communicate it in a way that somebody can understand, right? So it's all about being more vocal in terms of communicating my feelings on things that I may often internalize. When it comes to something I achieved already, one of the things I wanted to do was be able to provide an outlet economically that I can pass down to my kids. And that happened with me being able to start my investment company, as far as for my properties that I have and the fix and flips that I do and the fix and holds and things like that. So it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, but I always had a reason or talk myself out of not stepping in or going, just taking the risk. But what 2020 has taught me is that now more than ever, we need to be in a place where we can have some economic freedom, and also you can generate some money to build your own platform to present a message that you may see as contrary going on right now. So, that gives me the opportunity to have outlets and kind of like what you're doing and just be positive and be able to spread that to a lot of people.
I have so many other questions. I want to no, it's because look, I usually say within my realm of thinking my questions, but we have so much similarities of where we came from. I want to ask the question of, when you see someone act rowdy and act all tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know where I come from, tough guys don't act like that. Like the tough guys are not as loud and audacious. So when I see some, how does that make you feel that you sit back and you say, that's not the makeup of the guy that is absolutely the most violent person in the room?
I don't believe them. That's pretty much. I don't believe them. And it's funny, I tell my son all the time when, because he'll be like, yeah, this rapper or whatever. And I'm like, I don't believe him. It's just one of those things where, first of all, if you really, if you really are G like that, right? What real G really wants to bring attention to themselves, right? Because if you really are doing what it is that you portray you're doing, you want to be as low as possible.
But see,
you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't
generation. You not talking about
like,
generation.
But this is what you're right.
This generation is out here. You know what I'm saying? Out here doing it. They out here. So let me ask you a question. For your particular road to success and things you're trying to do, in terms of communicating, in terms of journaling, and just in terms of overall greatness, what did you sacrifice to start that road, or what are you sacrificing right now?
I think that a couple of things. One thing that I'm sacrificing, and it really is probably good that I am, is keeping my circle really smaller than what it is. Um, and the reason why I say that is because um, just behind the veil of being transparent, you know, I often at times would struggle with association, right? Like, you know, if I'm rolling with this cat or if I'm in this group, right?
Okay.
Then I am going to be somebody. Or, you know, if I'm affiliated with this camp, then that makes me something other than who I really am. And you know, and a lot of times I didn't even realize that, you know, I was already dope. I didn't need to be, you know, associating myself with other people and trying to get the approval of other people to even do that. And other people may have saw that I was dope already, but I just didn't. I didn't realize it. I had this false perception of who I needed to be. So I don't really chill out or talk as much, or you know, really try to really go all the way out of the way to try to hang out, or just, well, especially with COVID, but just keeping my circle and my thoughts and things kind of to myself, because you know everybody doesn't need to know them anyway. So I'll say that.
I know whenever I seen you out, wherever we see each other, it's always a hug because it's special. Because we rarely get to see each other and talk to each other. But it's
Right.
and I agree with you saying about being a person of where you look like where you came from, but that's not who you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I deal with that. I deal with that on a regular basis. My look, my eyes, the way they think I feel is not what I am on the inside. I've upgraded myself, but the problem is when you upgrade the stuff on the inside. They can't see you can't see it on the outside.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because there's a lot of times, Sheen, when I want to bring, and this is another sacrifice too. You know, if I'm having this success, I want to be able to share that with people that, you know, I knew from back, right? Because you know, you always you never want to be the only one just buying drinks at the bar, right? Everybody needs to just. It's always fun and better when everybody's buying something. So you know, if I was to have a success, you know, I want to try to bring people on and be like, yo, we need to be doing this together. But the problem with that is your vision and your mindset and your drive may not actually be theirs at that time. And instead of you trying to wait on them doing, or instead of you trying to wait for them to get with you, you may just have to leave them and do your own thing. And that's a hard pill to swallow, because you may not want to, but it's a reality, because everybody may not be on the same space or the same speed that you are.
This is the beginning of the show. I told you I wanted to talk to you about something, a revelation that I had.
Yeah.
Let me paint this picture. I am in Abu Dhabi, United Emirates, at the hotel where they filmed Fast and the Furious, where the car went through the buildings. I'm at the beach part of that. Downstairs.
Big deal.
It's a big deal, right? But it's not really a big deal to me yet, and not at this moment. I go in the ocean and I swim out to a barge, and the sun is going down. I go sit on the barge and I look at the big palace, the emirate where the sheik stays, and the sun is going down over the sheik. And you know what hit me? Why me?
What's up?
Why me? Why?
But why not you?
No. But why did he choose me out of all the stuff we've been through? Have you ever had that moment where you sat back and said, out of everybody you knew from the hood, now not saying everybody's my life is better or anything like that, but this particular moment, to be in the ocean, to watch the sun go down, for me, was there a moment for you where you sat back and said, I wish the guys I grew up with could be here right now, but I know at that moment they couldn't be here right now. There's nothing that put them here right now. So that moment is going to go and pass. But you ever had that moment where you said, what?
Yeah, all the time. I do. And then the quick response is, why not me? You know what I'm saying? It's like look, you know, You was built specifically for a task and a job that you are supposed to do. It don't got nothing to do with anybody else. It's yours, right? So when it comes to that, that's what I stay on, man, because it's one of those things, Shane, where if you continue to harp on the fact of why me, then you mess around and don't even be able to smell your own flowers because you're not enjoying the fact that it is you. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I have those thoughts. Younger, I had them more. Now though, it's just one of those things where I'm just grateful that it is me because I have kids now, and they live a whole better life than what I did growing up. And when I look at that, it's like, I can't be nothing but grateful for that. So thank you that it was me.
Right.
And thank you that I'm in a position to be able to
listen. I'm thankful. Like you said, you want to reach back and tell people to pull up. Trying to tell people to pull up every week. Come pull up on me, but circumstances around the world. But I get it. So
in your case, absolutely. Shoot, I live in Atlanta. I've been trying to get the homies from the hood to come through forever, and they still haven't. So it's like, what.
Yeah. And it's so crazy because they have Bronx Day in Atlanta, and it's like. That's a lot.
Right.
That's a lot to digest for me. People I grew up with are in the Bronx and in Atlanta and doing the Bronx Day. It's great.
That's the thing, though, Shane. That's the thing. That's what I'm talking about, man. Sometimes you just gotta be like, you know what? I'm out. I love y'all, but I'm out.
Let's dive a little deep here. Let's go real deep. You spoke about losing your parents and your birthday, and you spoke about losing your dad in your 8th grade year. And I know being young, there's a lot of emotions that you weren't able to address. But outside of that particular loss, what was your lowest moment? But not just talking about the moment. When you was feeling like you didn't know yourself, but how did you get back up? This is for the people that need to know how to get back up. Not just about your story, not just about being in your business. This is more about the tools you use or using to get up.
Well, for me, it truly is prayer, right? I don't pray as much as I should, but I do have my moments when I know who I am, and I know, that I'm a child of God, and I know at the end of the day that I can sit back and rest on the fact that no matter what, He's gonna get me through it. And the reason why I feel that way is because of what I've been through, just young. Because at the end of the day, I feel like if you put those scenarios and situations in front of 8 or 9 other people, it may not have been the way that it was for me. So I recognized early that there was a plan and purpose for me. So when I get to the lowest points, of course, I write some things down. I have a little conversation with the Lord. But I think the biggest thing is, I kind of cleave to my wife, and just kind of open up and be vulnerable and just talk about what I may be feeling, and kind of work on it through there. And before that, before I was married, it was just kind of prayer and meditation and just trying to get through the day.
Man, we appreciate you sharing those gems. So those who need to meditate and pray, go ahead and do that, because sometimes we forget that prayer is an option. We try to fix the problem, and we try to do all these things that are tangible within the realm of this energy, but there's another level that you can go.
And on top of that, for those who are watching, prayer doesn't have to be this long, elaborate thesis or scribe. It could be, listen, Lord, I'm just not feeling it. This is why I need help. And how you should solidify that is you should be saying, thank you for helping me get through the process that I'm getting, do whatever I need to get through. Always give thanks and be grateful and speak it into existence and continue to speak it. And that's how you build your foundation as far as prayer and meditation and just being grounded in spiritual.
Absolutely. Let's take it. Let's stay right there in that platform. I'm a took a right turn, but stay with that same mindset for me.
All right,
I
but
believe words can be spells that you cast on yourself and others. And
mm,
what I mean by that is when it comes from a place where you're not being genuine, you can cast a spell on yourself. And when
yeah,
I liken that to music, to hip hop music right now, I believe most of these artists that say the things that they're doing, they're not doing, but they're
right.
casting spells over their lives. And that's why I think we're seeing a lot of people come up dead, a lot of
Mm,
people come up hurt, because I think they don't
mm,
understand the power of magic
mm,
and the power of prayer, magic, just voodoo. All of that is like somehow tied together, in my opinion. What do you think?
right. Well, I can't speak on the magic part because I don't know about that. But what I can say is that there is principles and laws in place, for speaking things into existence. If you're going to speak in a way that is negative, it's like, yo, why continue? You're speaking death. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you talking about how you busted guns and all of this, or you saying, a rapper may be like, I'm gonna be dead in about 10 hours, or you speak those negative things, and you know, can't be surprised with what happened to you because you're speaking death into your life. But conversely, you could also be speaking life and positive things into your life, like you, Sheem, are king. You know what I'm saying? You have a family that you're providing over, and thank God that you're able to have this platform to do what it is that you do, so that you can be able to reach other people, and those people can reach other people, and everybody just be blessed. When you speak like that, that can't do nothing but uplift people. And in the hip hop world, man, you're right, man. That it's just soul destroying, and the things that are being talked about now is terrible. I don't even know who out there right now that's popping is really talking about
Well,
things that
I,
are
I
positive like that.
what I understand is that it's the topics are not different from what the
Yeah,
music was when we was coming out, but I think
yeah,
the lifestyle is different. I think the
mm,
things that we talked about on music, we were really doing. Like people were really doing some of this stuff, and some of the
yeah,
stuff now it's become a character of itself. And but they think it sells because gossip and all that stuff sells, but it's really causing a lot of pain to the spirit.
mm, mm,
And
yeah,
energy is not destroyed, it's transferred to the next. But we are transferring bad energy right now. Like you said,
yeah,
it could be good energy because it's not going anywhere. We just got to change it from negative to positive.
right, right. It's true, true. Words are powerful. Words can kill. So, the old saying, "Sticks and stones and breaking bones with words will never hurt," but that's not true. Words. No, it's not. It's not. It's not true. Words can devastate people. Words can start riots. I mean, we
Yeah.
seen it the
I,
other day. You know
I'm
what
on
I'm saying? So,
record saying that words can't hurt you if you don't allow it. I am on record in believing that. But
yeah,
that's when you know yourself enough to love yourself to not let the
right.
words of someone else affect you. But your
Yeah,
words can affect you for
yeah,
yourself.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Talk to me about fatherhood. And I don't want to talk about fatherhood when it's cute and cuddly. Oh, those are my kids. They're beautiful. I want to know about the moment when you love your kids, but you really don't like them right now. Talk to me
Ah,
about the patience you got to have as a father. And especially coming from you, you lost your father at a young age. So I'm pretty sure
yeah.
that the pressure was on you from yourself to be the best father you can be. But talk to me about when your patience is like, oh man, I really don't like you right now.
Oh man, it's definitely there. It definitely is a thing. It's different for because I have a son and a daughter. So my patience and things for my daughter may be different for my son. So first and foremost, yes, I didn't have a father growing up. The closest thing to a father was my brother, and he's 10 years older than me. And shout out to him. Shout out to his name is Dennis. Shout out to him for raising me. Um, but yeah, Sheem, it's rough. For my daughter, it's like one of those things where you got to see because she's 19 now, so you have to see her go through different growing pains, and it's frustrating because you can't do anything about them. And what makes it even more frustrating is when you kind of tell her what it is. And you kind of tell her, the whole scenario, specifically dealing with men. And like, this is what this is what that is, this is how, you may be approached and talked to, and this is why it is, because men out here are slime buckets. Trust me, I've been one. So when you say things like that, and you get the acknowledgement, but then they go ahead and just do the same mistakes that you tried to have them not do. So in those particular instances, it's like, I really just feel like bust you upside the head, because I told you don't do what it is that you did. But, they got to go through their own, she has to go through her own growing pains and find her own way. So it's frustrating to watch when you see them going through the struggle like that. For my son, is different because my son is an interesting case, because he's like me in a lot of instances where, he's independent. He's a go-getter. He wants to do things his own way on his own and don't necessarily want to wait. And I remember that when he was younger, how our relationship was not really the best. And I think it was because of the way I would respond to certain things. It was kind of like fire and brimstone. It was one of those things where instead of me kind of listening and talking to him about different things, he may have done something wrong, and I'm just going off the deep end and not really explaining why it's wrong. And when I continue to do that pattern, he was shut down, and he wouldn't talk to me. And that's brutal, because you want to have a relationship with your son, so that he can grow into the man that you envision him to be. So I realized that, and I needed to adjust and pivot my way of thinking and my way of disciplining him and just talking to him. And that wasn't easy, but I would explain things more. I would take a step back if he got into trouble or if he did something that wasn't right, and I would talk to him about it. And then I would also be mindful of how I was at his age, and kind of relate. And when I would speak to him, I would speak to him in a way like, I've been there, I can relate, this is how I was, or this is what I did, and these are like different solutions that I was able to do based off of things that I've experienced. So when I was able to open up and be more transparent to him, he was able to open up and be more transparent to me. And that was the beginning of us building our relationship better than what it was. But he still does hard-headed stuff from time to time. And I still have to find myself really talking to him like, that wasn't the way you should have gone about it, and this is why. So,
that's interesting, because on the flip side, on the good side, he's growing you towards your goals. He's making you communicate.
Yes.
So that's probably where the tension was, because you don't like to communicate, as you said. You're growing towards that. So now you have to grow together. And the kids are a reflection of us. So you're actually saving his life by talking to him now, so he won't have to deal with this particular issue when he's older, because he did it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that would happen with me when I was younger, when I would get in trouble, there was no explanations. It's one thing, of course, you're not supposed to, we grew up, you don't talk back, right? But, but there wasn't when I was growing up, it felt like I didn't have a voice, so to speak. So even if something may have been a mistake, I didn't feel like I had a voice to explain, like, you're tripping, this is what it was. And I think a lot of that contributed just because of how hard-headed I was, because I was hard-headed. But I found myself doing the same thing with him. And I realized, like, I'm gonna lose him early if I don't change that. So yeah, that's what I had to do. Because I don't want him growing up feeling like he doesn't have a voice or he's afraid of conflict. So
Right. Right. Should there be a basic training program amongst men, a level of education, skills taught and attributes taught and character traits taught? And what I mean by that is, if you take when we were growing up, we kind of moved around learning by trial and error. There are really no basics. And for us to get to the resources like the library, the Boys and Girls Club, some of those places were hard to get to because of the types of people you had to go through just to get an entry of those places, right? So I came up with something where, why isn't there a basic training program? Like, we all know how to change a tire, we all know how to start financial literacy, we all know how to communicate, we all know how to talk out our problems with people we have problems with. Should there be a program like implemented in our communities, not by the school system, not by the government? I'm talking about by the people.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that those type of things were happening in some hoods. I don't think that that's something that's necessarily new. I just think that the support wasn't there, for whatever reason. It can be because of drugs, it can be because just people got tired of it because they didn't see the results. Whatever reason, but that's what the community was supposed to be for. And like, in a lot of hoods, they used to have those community centers where, you would, in theory, supposed to learn about different things like that. Not necessarily financial literacy, but, plus, and also financial literacy and maybe the changing of attire, because you don't necessarily need a car in the hood per se, but yeah, those type of things should have happened in the hood, and maybe in some areas they were, but they're not like that anymore.
Do you think it's because it's a financial burden to make people rise up? For the people that make money off the tyranny, do you think they work harder to keep a certain level, an average level, to make money off what the hood puts out? And what I mean by that is, you spoke earlier about alcoholism, the bad food, the desert areas. If we started in Soundview, and between the projects, we had a big patch of grass field. If we turned that into a place where we grew vegetables and food,
it'd be phenomenal.
It would be phenomenal. But the powers that be wouldn't allow it, because it would put those businesses on the corner out of business. It would take away people's money, and for our freedoms to be healthy. Do you think there's an opposing factor that stops all those good things from happening?
Always, yeah. There's always going to be a opposing factor that doesn't want the one that's being oppressed to elevate. Yeah, it's always there. But I think you said it best. It also boils down to economics from time to time. Something like that, like in that big patch of field, especially in Soundview Projects, that big field that's right by the horseshoe. Shoot, had that been a section of just a piece of it, not the whole thing, even a piece,
garden, yeah.
just to grow fresh vegetables and fruit, man, that would change lives.
I think it would up the character of people, because they'd be like,
yeah,
in here, like, we got to protect this.
You have a better sense of community at that point,
Maybe one day we'll go back and do it. I don't know what the city laws are.
Listen, the wheels are spinning right now, man. I'm like, yo, we may need to call some people up, because because it's interesting you said that. I did a assessment on a property here in Atlanta, and they was doing a renovation to the entire apartment complex, and one of the things that they actually were doing was putting in gardens, and they were having community programs for people that live there to learn how to grow their own food, fruits and vegetables. We continue to need, we always need stuff like that to be self-sustainable, and it's just important.
They do that in Charlotte already. A friend of mine who actually came on the show, Mr. J. Scott, I visit his home in a complex before. And he took me to his part where he was designated his own piece of garden where he grew tomatoes, green peppers. But the whole complex had their own section where they can plant their own seeds and allowed to have a garden within the complex.
Yeah, it's dope, man.
He was
Wasn't you growing something at your crib when I was
yeah, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. I was growing eggplant, watermelon, kale.
yeah, yeah,
I had
yeah,
it booming.
yeah.
I had it booming. I had it blooming. Rosemary, I had it booming. And I didn't realize how much I would love it. I mean, I loved it. Like it was just, it was great. I had salad, basil, and I didn't have a big backyard. I just committed to it. And it didn't take much.
Yeah,
It didn't take much.
And I think, you know, I'm so far removed from living in Soundview, man. You know, I kind of feel like, I'm not really the right one to speak on it, but you know, somebody really got to have the fortitude to really galvanize people to do it. And it may be somebody who's doing it already. I don't know, but you know, that's what you would need. You would need to have somebody who understands, who's probably from there, understands it, and really have a gift to bring people together and move in a different direction.
Even away from Soundview and Ghost Town and Theory, where I grew up at, we had this big patch of grass that we played football on, and it's just sitting there. And now they don't even allow kids to play there anymore, but it could be growing produce.
Man,
yes,
it can be.
Let's get it together, BX. Let's get it together.
I think I would like to do that. That sounds like a good idea.
I'm serious, man. Let's make some calls.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with it.
How do I approach a man I have problems with? Establishing the value.
I don't know. It depends on the type of problems you got with him.
I know it depends, but can you give like a general perspective on how would you handle it?
Well, you know, I mean, you approach somebody and, you know, kind of be like, yo, what's the issue? You know, you kind of talk about and address exactly what it is that is the problem. Because, you know, at this point, look, man, niggas is 40 and up. You know, ain't nobody got time to be fighting, you know what I mean? Like, sure, we got to talk that out. It's funny, I just heard Nori say that about Eminem and Snoop on Clubhouse. He was saying the same thing. He was like, yo, man, like a versus battle or a rap battle, ain't nobody trying to hear that. Like, we grown men, let's talk about it. Get in a room. If you drink, like, yo, let's just go grab a drink and really just work this thing out. And if we can't agree, then that's fine too. But at least we leave it respectfully. Like, people are too old these days to be trying to get at each other's heads, unless there's a certain circumstance or situation where you're just not on code and you just blatantly disrespectful and it may be threatening your livelihood or your family, then that's a different conversation. But if it's one of those things where it's like, yo, I didn't agree with how you handled this situation, it's like, well, all right, well, why didn't you agree with it? And then you hear their perspective, they hear your perspective, and either you gonna agree or you not. And you keep it moving.
Keep it moving. So
that's my take on it.
What about a young man? What about a young man?
Well, you know, the young bulls are a little different, right? I would say the same thing, man. I would approach it from a sense of like, look, come on, young soldier. Like, you don't need to, like, nobody needs to lose their lives today. You know, like, it's bad enough, man. You're looking on TV and the young homies is already getting taken out by law enforcement and things that you see on TV. Like, we don't need a reason for people that don't believe in us anyway and think we're less than to we don't need another reason for them to be like, see, I was right, I proved you right. So I think, you know, I would go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was gonna end it by saying, you know, I think that if there's a way to talk it out without having to go to blows, let's try to seek that resolution before we even talk about guns and violence and things like that.
I think a lot of things that kept me away from prison and out of really bad situations that I thought of the end game of everything every time. Even when you're the shooter, you still have a chance of losing your life to the system. And And then when you're on the other side of the gun, you can lose your life from the gun and the bullet. I mean, but both of you lose. It's just one person may be freer longer than the other person, if that makes sense.
Right.
But you
No,
still,
it's one of those. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, it's one of those things. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because it's one of those things. It's one of those things, Sheens, where it's like 3 seconds can change your life forever. 3 to 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, what do you have to show for yourself? It's one of those things like before you know it, you felt some type of way and you was pissed off for whatever reason, and you took somebody's life in like 3 seconds, and now you 30 to life.
3 seconds. Don't be a 3 second cat. Yep. Don't be a 3 second. Don't be a 3 second cat.
But
as a husband,
people out here all the time. Yep.
Let's talk husband talk. As a husband, would you rather have a great woman or a great wife?
A great woman or a great wife? And I can't have both. I have to choose one.
Yeah, in this question, yes, but there's no wrong answer. But please explain which one you choose.
Well, I mean, I guess a great woman doesn't necessarily have to be my wife. Like, when a great wife, that means that my definition of being a great wife is of obviously being a friend, obviously being somebody who's always going to challenge you to be better, somebody who's going to be there to nurture you emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. The definition in term wife, man, when you're my wife, it's like, first of all, that right there is for life, in my opinion. And, if I'm calling you, if you are my wife, that means that's because I'm willing to die for you. And I am willing to grow old and fat and gray and all of that with you. So I don't take it lightly. So I guess in that sense, yes, I would rather have a great wife than a great woman, because
Oh, you went out. I can't hear you. You went out.
Wait.
I didn't hear what you said. You'd rather have a great wife.
Hold on. Hold on.
I can hear you now. You said great wife because what?
Yeah, I was saying that, if I have a great wife, then I'm gonna have a great woman. So that's my take on that.
Hey, there's no wrong answer. How many people just answer how you gonna answer?
Yeah, that's it. That's my choice.
Validation from your partner. It's like you win a championship when you get the right woman. But Mr. Harrison, do you defend the title? And what I mean by that is, are you still looking good? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you bringing flowers if she likes flowers? Are you doing the little things like walking up behind her and giving her a kiss for no reason? Are you defending the title?
Yeah, I think I am. First of all, you want to continue to look presentable. Not only you want to be healthy for yourself first, right? But because when you look good and feel good, you can go about your day with confidence. But when you're out in them streets, you representing, your spouse. So you can't be out here looking crazy, because the next person gonna be looking at you like, yo, like, what's going on at home? Or like, if he's looking like that, what's the wife looking like? Or vice versa. So you want to be able to represent your significant other accordingly. So in terms of the touching things, like my love language, based on the 5 love languages.
Hey, talk about it.
My love language is, is physical touch, right? So, but my wife's is quality time, right? Quality time is first, gift giving second. But quality time is not just, we both on the couch
and we on our phones. You know, if it's quality times, like phones is down, I have your undivided attention, you have my undivided attention, you know, and we have a conversation, or we just watching TV together. You know, so those are the things that I need to continually do in order for my household to be happy. So to answer your question, yes, because I understand what needs to be done to do it.
But those who don't know what the 5 love languages are, can you run those off? Run those off, because I know touch is the number one thing for men, of course.
Well, it's yeah, right. It's physical touch. Usually that's for every man, right? So for most men anyway. Physical touch, quality time, gift giving, words of affirmation, I believe, and the 5th one escapes me. I can't remember it right now. Do you remember it?
I had to ask you. I forgot.
All right. Yeah.
The reason I know them because I like the touch one.
well, yeah. Well, that's.
I know mine. Like, you know yours, and that's it. When you know yours, you're comfortable with it.
Right, and that's the thing, right, She? Like, everybody knows.
I think it's words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving quality time, and physical touch.
And physical touch. There you go. There you go.
Definitely.
There you go. So, yeah, acts of service was the one that I was missing. But that's the thing. I remember mine, and I know hers.
But you know what's so funny about that? Men have 1 out of those 5 most likely, and the other 4 are probably created by women.
You said that, I did.
I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. Maybe.
Right.
Okay, I came up with this thing called operating at 100%. Now I'm gonna love talking about this question with you, because I see you working out all the time, doing them workout videos, doing all types of broke down Biggie video jail pull-ups, and I love it because it inspires me, right?
Yeah.
Operating at 100% are you operating your purpose, health, confidence, money, and knowledge? 5 things I break down to 20% each. And what I do with that is I take my average for 6 days and give myself an overall score. So every day I start out with 100%, and I go 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. Purpose, meaning you live in your purpose. Health, meaning you eating right, working out, exercising, meditating, getting your mind together. Confidence, you're doing it with intent, and you're doing it with without any insecurities. Money, you made a little money today, or you spent some money, or you did a good investment today. Or knowledge, you took in some knowledge. Now, within the last 24 hours, can you say you've been operating? What percentage have you been operating
at? So do I break down each one individually, or do I just give like a total overall?
20% each. The purpose will have 20, health will have 20, confidence 20, money 20, knowledge 20, and they add up to 100%. But if they're not 20 out of 20, if you're getting 13% from this one, 12% from this one, tell me your overall average for the last 24 hours.
All right, so overall average for the last 24 hours is not 100. We do got spiritual in there, right?
Spiritual is
or is it like meditation, or like
meditation, health,
purpose?
I put it on the health.
All right.
I put spirit, but you can add or take out anything you want. So I would say health, because a part of your health is meditation, prayer, eating right, exercise.
So I would say I'm probably at like I'm at a 65, 70%.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, let's say more like 65. Yeah.
What did you say you were missing?
Oh, I mean, everything is each one, all 5 of them. You know, prosperity. You know, I'm not where I want to be as far as financially. I'm not where I want to be.
Right.
And I'm also going to equate the spiritual. I'm also going to equate the spiritual part to prosperity as well, because it's not just about money. So spiritually, I'm not where I want to be. The tank is not as full as it should be when I say that. As far as working out, yeah, I like to work out, but I'm not at a place that I would like to be just yet, in terms of my appearance and how I look. So, there's room for growth there. And I think that is always room for growth, man. So
Absolutely.
I am never going to say,
but
100%.
remember,
I still got work to do.
This is the daily thing. So it's not like an overall like, oh, this is it. So every day you would judge yourself and then take the average of the week. So certain days I might not work out. I might get 0 out of 20. Certain days I might not sit in my purpose. I might Netflix and chill it and watch a series. Right. So I try to judge myself on how, if I look back and say, dang, I didn't make this deadline or I didn't do that. Well, this reads your procrastination right here. This reads why you didn't reach this, because on Thursday, you were only operating at 65%.
Right. That's interesting.
Yeah. So if you needed to operate at 90% for 30 days straight to make something happen, you can't slack off a little bit. You're leaving a record. You're journaling your successes.
I like that. That's good. I need to steal that. I'm going to steal that.
Yeah, operating 100%. No, please steal it. Send it around. I want everybody to start doing better, detailed wise.
All right, cool. Good deal.
Thank you, sir. You are now part of the Silhouette Boys Club. It is people like you who move in the shadows to help people like me shine. Now, before
we ain't got no merch, no shirts, no nothing.
Yes, we got you. We got you.
All right.
Before you go, we would love to get a referral of who you like to come on this show and answer these questions.
Oh, that's easy. Walt Griffin.
Oh, yes. Mr. Walter Griffin.
Can I give two? Yeah,
sure, absolutely.
Walt Griffin and Derek Williams. There you go.
Derek Williams and Walt Griffin. Joe Clark. Mr. Walter Griffin.
That's it. That's the two right there. That's my 5 things off the wall brethren. My podcast brethren. Right. So yeah, they need to. Let's get the whole 5 things off the wall crew on the show.
Look, while you at it right now, please give a shout out to your Instagram, Facebook, or whatever you got going on.
All right, look, you can find me at IM_Dev, DEV_H on Instagram, and there you'll be able to go to my other links for the things that I'm doing, whether that be 5 Things Off the Wall, the podcast I have, Real Talk with DP and Dev, which talks about real estate, entrepreneurship, artistry, and life. Amalgam Service Group, which is another business I own, and then Independent Capital Group, which is my investment business.
Mr. Harrison, thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
My brother.
VX.
Always love. All right, Sheev.
All right, man.